In this video, we'll be discussing about life of sea turtle and the impact of climate change on their life. Now, sea turtles are one of the Earth's most ancient creatures. The seven species that can be found today have been around for 110 million years, since the time of the dinosaurs. The sea turtle's shell or carapace is streamlined for swimming through the water. Unlike other turtles, sea turtles cannot retract their legs and head into their shells. The color varies between yellow, greenish, and black depending on the species. The diet. What sea turtles eat depend on the subspecies, but some common items include jellyfish, seaweed, crab, shrimp, sponges, snails, algae, and mollusks. Population. It is difficult to find population of sea turtles because male and juvenile sea turtles do not return to shore once they hatch and reach the ocean, which makes it hard to keep track of them. Now, the temperature in which they survive. Sea turtles are found in all warm and temperate waters throughout the world and migrate hundreds of miles between nesting and feeding ground. Most sea turtles undergo long migrations, some as far as 1400 miles between their feeding grounds and the beaches where they nest. The behavior of sea turtles. Turtles spend most of their lives in water where not much information can be gathered on their behavior. Most of what is known about sea turtle behavior is obtained by observing hatchlings and females that leave the water to lay eggs. Sea turtles, like salmon, will return to the same nesting ground at which they were born. When females come to the shore, they dig out a nest in the ground back with their back flippers, bury their clutch of eggs, and return to the ocean. After hatching, the young one may take as long as a week to dig themselves out of the nest. They emerge at night, move toward the ocean, and remain there solitary until it's time to mate. The reproduction, the time at which they reproduce. Temperature of the sand where the turtle nests determines the sex of the turtle. Below 85 degrees Celsius Fahrenheit, that is predominantly male. Above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, that is 30 degrees Celsius, is predominantly female. Mating season is between March to October depending on the species. Gestation time is 6 to 10 weeks. The clutch size is between 70 to 190 eggs depending on the species. When the young hatch out of their eggs, they make their way to the ocean. Few survive to adulthood, and much can be learned about the condition of the plant's environment by looking at these sea turtles. We need to study about them, but we need to know why do we need to study about them. They have existed for over 100 million years and they travel throughout the world's oceans. Suddenly, however, they are struggling to survive largely because of things people are doing to the planet, oceans, and beaches. But what does it mean for the human species? It is possible that a world in which sea turtles cannot survive may soon become a world in which humans struggle to survive. If, however, we learn from our mistake and begin changing our behavior, there is still time to save sea turtles from the extinction. In the process, we will be saving one of the Earth's most mysterious and time honored creatures. We might just be saving ourselves too.
Now we will discuss about the effect of climate change on the reproduction of sea turtles. An increasing in nesting beach temperatures will also have an impact on sea turtles. Because sea turtles are reptiles, they rely on the temperature of the sand in which the eggs incubate to determine the gender of the hatchling in the nest. Typically, the eggs in the lower cooler part of the nest will become males, while the eggs in the upper warmer part will become females. With increasing nest temperatures, scientists predict that there will be more females than male hatchlings, creating a significant threat to genetic diversity. Warmer ocean temperatures are also likely to have negatively impact food resources for sea turtles and virtually all marine species. Loggerhead sea turtles have been around for 60 million years and have survived through many changing environments. Now, however, hatchling sex ratios and further reproduction success rates are being threatened by climate change, a new study revealed. Sea turtles don't have an X or Y chromosome, so their sex is defined during embryo development and can be greatly altered by changing in environment. Researchers from Florida and Atlantic University discovered that warming temperatures during incubation yields more females while more males develop under the cooler conditions. During incubation, temperature often vary with the change in temperature, sunshade, sand types, and rainfall. All of these environmental conditions play a key role in loggerhead sea turtle development ratios, hatch and emergent success, and embryotic sex, the researchers explained in their study. The shift in our climate changes shifting turtles as well, because as the temperature of their nest changes, so do their reproduction patterns. Dr. Janet Wacken, a professor of biological sciences in FAU Charles E. Schmidt College of Science, said in a news release, the nesting beaches along Florida's coast are important because they produce a majority of the loggerhead hatchlings entering the northwestern Atlantic Ocean. Such environmental impact could further threaten loggerhead populations which have been experiencing a decline in the recent years. From their study, researchers estimate that roughly 1 in every 2,500 to 7,000 sea turtles make it to adulthood, the release noted. Generally, a loggerhead female produces about 105 eggs per nesting season, which runs from April through October each year. In that season, the turtles lay their eggs in underground nests. The eggs then mature without the care of a parent or grown turtle. Based on the aforementioned statistics on reproduction success, a loggerhead would have to nest for more than 10 nesting seasons over 20 to 30 years just to replace herself and possibly one mate, the researchers explained. However, since climate change is resulting in the development of fewer males, the species could be seriously impacted. If climate changes continue to force the sex ratio bias of loggerheads to even greater extremes, we are going to lose the diversity of sea turtles as well as their overall ability to reproduce effectively. Sea turtles are already strong female biased. Venkin said in the release that's why it's crucial to understand how environmental factors, especially temperature and rainfall, influence hatchlings of the sex ratios. For their study, researchers documented environmental conditions present along a loggerhead turtle nesting beach in Boca Raton, locating in southeast Florida between 2010 to 2013 nesting seasons. Researchers examined the relationship between rainfall and sand temperature as well as rainfall, nest temperature, and hatchling sex ratios. They also made measurement at three separate depths of the sand in order to see how temperature affected each of those according to the release. This data suggested that the light rainfall only had an effect on surface sand, while heavier rainfalls ultimately lowered the sand temperatures. However, fluctuations in the temperature were very small when the moisture reached higher nest depths. The majority of hatchlings in the sapling were females, suggesting that across the four seasons, most nest temperatures were not sufficiently cool to produce males. Winken explained in the statement. However, in the early portion of the nesting and in wet years, nest temperatures were cooler and significantly more male hatched. The study was recently published in journal Endangered Species Research.
Hello, this is Biswajit. My roll number is 15MS133. Now let's talk about the problems faced by the sea turtles. As we know, the sea turtles use both marine and terrestrial habitats during the life cycle. The effects of climate changes are likely to have a devastating impact on this endangered species. A rise in the sea level will impact sea nesting beaches. Sea turtles' memories are imprinted with a magnetic map of the sandy beach where they hatch. This gives them the unique ability to return to the beach decades later to repeat their nesting ritual. With melting polar ice caps and rising sea levels, these beaches are beginning to disappear. The direct impacts of sea level rise include losing beaches, ecologically productive wetlands, and barrier islands. Coral reefs, which are important source of sea turtles, are in a great danger. Almost half of the coral reef ecosystem in the US are in poor or fair condition. As a result of rising temperature, coral reefs are suffering from a bleaching effect that kills off parts of the reef. Warmer water temperature brought on by climate changes stress corals because they are very sensitive to changes in temperature. If water temperature stay higher than usual for many weeks, the zooxanthellae that depend on some of their food leave their tissue. Without zooxanthellae, corals would turn white because zooxanthellae gives corals the color. White unhealthy corals are called bleached. Bleached corals are weak and less able to combat diseases. Bleaching events on coral reefs around the globe were observed in 1998. In some Pacific islands, a little bit of bleaching is common in the summer. However, there have been times when bleaching is particularly bad in this region. For example, larger than normal bleaching events in National Park of American Samoa occurred in 1994, 2002, and 2003. As climate changes continues, bleaching will become more common and the overall health of coral reefs will decline. Much of the carbon dioxide that enters the atmosphere dissolves into the ocean. In fact, the oceans have absorbed about one third of carbon dioxide produced from human activities since 1800 and about one half of the carbon dioxide producing by burning fossil fuels. As carbon dioxide in the ocean increases, ocean pH decreases or becomes more acidic. This is called ocean acidification. Corals cannot absorb the calcium carbonate they need to maintain their skeletons, and the stony skeletons that support corals and reefs will finally dissolve. Already, ocean acidification has lowered the pH of ocean by about 0.11 units, moving the ocean's pH from 8.179 to current pH of 8.069, which means the ocean is about 30% more acidic now that it was in 1751. If nothing is done to reduce carbon dioxide emissions in the atmosphere, ocean acidification will increase and more corals will be damaged or destroyed. Now let's talk about a case study which was happened in 2005. The Caribbean region has lost 50% of its coral, largely because of rising sea temperatures. From 1997 to 1998 alone, mass bleaching is estimated to have caused serious mortality to 16% of world's coral reefs. While strong signs of recovery have been observed in some locations, many will take decades to fully recover. In terms of sea turtle gender ratio, the beaches at Playa Granada on Costa Rica's Pacific coast are already producing nests that are 70% to 90% female, depending on the year. At Junkinal Beach on the Pacific coast, where it is often too hot for eggs to hatch at all, scientists have begun moving eggs to nurseries, essentially holes dug to certain depth on cooler areas of the beach. When the hatchlings emerge, rangers chaperone them from the nest to the water, protecting them against human and animal predators alike. Talk about the solutions can be made out of it. When there is much debate about climatic change and actions that can impact temperature, there are simple steps people can take to make a difference. Purchase Energy Star qualified appliances. Reduce, reuse, recycle all plastic, glass, and paper waste. Use energy savings method of transportation. Tell a friend about the problems of the sea turtles and earth are facing. Knowledge is power and collective influence can force change. Plant vegetation along beaches to provide better nesting habitat. Look for alternative sources of energy like solar or wind. Write to lawmakers to encourage more efficient use of energy. Thank you. Signing out.